Today, it's January 7, 2021, and a lot of countries are in some kind of lockdown. Although I believe these corona restrictions are necessary, they often put a strain on the relationships with our loved ones as we are forced to spend a lot more time with our family members. That's why having meaningful relationships with the people around us has become more important than ever before. But how do you do it? What's the key to a perfect relationship? Here to share her wisdom on this important topic is Landis Lain. Landis Lain is an author, an avid reader, and a lawyer who cares for people. She loves nature and dance and theater. She cherishes the earth and believes in justice for all. So, hi Landis, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking your time to talk to me. First, can you please tell my viewers a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Landis Lain. I'd love to tell you a little bit about myself. I am an attorney by trade, and I'm also an administrative law judge. My most favorite role, of course, is a writer. I've written two published books. They are Daddy's Baby and Butterfly Rising, and they're both published by Brown Girl Books. I love young people. I love children and I love teenagers. They're my muse. I write my prose for them. I am a parent. I am a grandparent. I have been a dancer. I used to love to do African folk dance. I love the arts. I love theater. I love to sing, even though I can't carry a tune in a bucket, but I can try. I love people. I love the outdoors. I love the flowers and the sunlight. I love the ocean. I really do love this whole diaspora of the earth. So I want us to protect it and love it and be kind to one another because that's what this is all about. So peace and love to everyone.
As I often do, I'd like to start with your grandparents. Who were they? Please tell us something about them.
I want to tell you something about my grandparents who were wonderful people. They were born respectively in 1914 and 1921. Their names were Maybelle and Cleo. And I used to call them Papa and Big Mama. And they walked from South Carolina, where they were sharecroppers, to escape Jim Crow laws, and went to Washington, D.C., where they tried to get jobs. They worked there for a while, and then they traveled to Michigan during the Great Migration. And my grandmother worked as a janitor, and my grandfather worked as a construction worker, and they put their children through school. Education was their most important goal, and they both went back to school to try to finish their high school diplomas. They definitely loved all of us grandchildren, and I was the oldest grandchild, so they wanted for me education, and they stressed that highly. So that's why I became a lawyer, to make certain that I would be well educated and have a really good job. So my grandparents were the best, and I really, really do miss them.
Who are or were your parents? And can you share a memory which shows what kind of relationship you have or had with them?
My parents had big dreams for their children. I was firstborn, so they always stressed education, and they worked two, three jobs often so that we could go to good schools. And we used to, one of my favorite memories of my mom is that she used to take us to the Shrine of the Black Madonna, which was this really big bookstore, and every Saturday, and we got to pick out a book, and we got to either buy a book or sign up to get some new books through Scholastic. So that's my most precious memory of my mom. I wanted to be a writer. My mom told me writers starve, so get a real job. But once I got a couple books published, my mom was my biggest cheerleader. My dad was always telling me, you can do whatever you choose to do. He was an artist, and so he saw a vision in everything that we did. He saw the colors in everything that we did. He saw how wonderful we could be in everything that we did. So those are my most precious memories of my parents.
When you wrote me, you mentioned God. Can you please describe what relationship you have with God and why that relationship is imperative to you?
In my life, God has been the most precious and merciful spirit and guiding force. God is in the flowers, in the trees, in the air, in the water. My most precious place to be with God is on a beach. Watching the water come in, because then I understand just how vast and incredibly powerful that God is. God is benevolent. God is a female and male spirit in my mind. The Holy Spirit is definitely female. You cannot create without women. So I love to talk to God on a daily basis. I am God's most precious creation. That's what I truly believe, that each of us is God's most precious creation and we should act accordingly. So I talk to God every day, and I smile when I think about God because I see the wonderful world around us and I have reverence for it. So God is awesome.
With whom do you have the most meaningful relationship right now? Tell me about that relationship and why it's so good.
My most meaningful relationship to date has been with God, because if I listen to God's words and read God's words, I hear God's words in the trees and the flowers and the spirits. I understand how to treat other people. If you nurture relationships like God nurtures the plants, like God nurtures the animals, like God nurtures us, God has given us a beautiful planet. So if you nurture every relationship that you have, just like God nurtures us, then you will love one another. You'll love everybody. You will treat people like Jesus did. Jesus never harmed anybody. You will respect other people's religions if you have a wonderful relationship. If you look at yourself in the mirror and you believe that you yourself are God's most precious creation, then you can't damage yourself, you can't harm yourself, and then you can't harm others because you're looking at them as God's most precious creation. So I would have to say that my most profound relationship is with God, and God has taught me how to treat my husband, my children, how I was supposed to treat my parents, and everyone around me.
As a well-educated black woman in the USA, what relationship do you have with your country right now?
As a black woman in America, I have to say that sometimes I am disheartened by what I see happening in my country, but I know that we're in the United States of America and our flag stands for "and justice for all." And justice for all means everyone. It doesn't have any exceptions to that. So we all should have equal rights. We all should have equal access to the courts. We should all have equal protection under the law. And we should have justice for everyone. So that's part of the reason why I became an attorney, because I thought that the goal of everyone having the same rights and the same goals. I believe in equal rights. I believe that all people are created equal by God, and therefore we need to treat each other like Jesus treated each other. When we ask, what would Jesus do? If you go back and see how Jesus treated people, and if we treated people like Jesus treated people, we would have a wonderful country. So I have hope for the future that we're going to move towards that, even though these are very trying times and sometimes very sad times. It makes me sad that I'm a second-class citizen in my own country, but we're going to move forward and be better.
Since you're an author, let's look at your relationship with your readers. What did you feel was important to tell your readers through your writing?
My first published book through Brown Girls Books was Daddy's Baby. And it's about a young man whose ex-girlfriend tells him that she is pregnant, and that basically drops an atomic bomb into his life. But I wanted to write a book about a young man who tries to step up, which is really important because many, many young men do step up. You always hear about the baby mama drama, but I love that there are some young men out there who are very responsible and take responsibility for their actions. And that's what this book is about, a young man who is trying to take responsibility for his actions. My second book is Butterfly Rising, and it's about the young lady who has a baby and is suicidal and has to go through court-ordered counseling in order to bring her back from the brink of the river where she wants to throw herself in. Our young people are in a lot of crises, and they are often suicidal. They are often not understanding how to navigate their lives. And so I really, really wanted you to know that you can be okay. So that's why I wrote these books.
Let's move on to the current state of America. I'm sad to say that yesterday, January 6, 2021, will go down in history as the day that pro-Trump protesters stormed the U.S. Capitol. Let's say you were President of the United States. What would you do to improve the relationships between different groups in the American society? How would you heal and unite the country?
If I were the President of the United States, I would want people to come together. I would try to explain to them that if we all are well fed and well housed and all have health care, that we can all get along because everyone's most essential needs would be met. I would suggest to people that the reason that we have a lot of conflict is that some people have way more than others and some people have nothing, and that in itself is an inherent conflict. I believe that God created us all equal. I believe in equal justice for all. I believe in equal rights for all. You can't have one person who has more rights than another and have a peaceful society. In order to have a peaceful society and have people try to get along, everyone has to have their basic needs met. And as the President of the United States, that's what I would want for our country, that everyone would have their basic needs met. Everyone would have good housing, everyone would be fed, everyone would have health care.
Finally, what we've all been waiting for. What do you believe is the key to a perfect relationship?
My mom always taught me, and my grandmother and my grandfather and my dad always taught me to remember the golden rule. You treat other people as you would wish to be treated. So most of the time, I have lived by that rule. Now, we all fall short. Sometimes people don't treat us the way we want to be treated, so we want to retaliate. And oftentimes we do not treat each other like we should. So I would say if you want to maintain a good relationship with someone, you have to treat them as you would wish to be treated. Also, you have to love yourself. First and foremost, you have to love yourself. Self-esteem means that you love yourself. And if you love yourself and you treat yourself like you would like others to treat you, then I think you will never have very many problems in your relationships, because if you're treating yourself like you want to be treated and treating other people like you want to be treated, hopefully they will reciprocate. And if they don't, those are not people who should be in your life, and you should learn to leave toxic relationships alone. So the golden rule has always been my barometer for how to treat people.
Thank you so much for that, Landis. Subscribe to my channel for more interviews. The next one comes in 5 weeks. If you want me to interview you, send an email to edwinpalmer@yahoo.com. Next Friday, I'll be back with a new video in my series on intellectual giftedness. Till then, I only want to say 3 things. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and bye for now.